Hey, how's it going? Dillio T2K here with another update, another video. A short story about um, a path I've been on for a while, making music. Um, I recently finally got a sub, the KRK10. I'm not going to show it to you because you can Google it and see what it looks like. It's hooked up, and as you can see, it's hooked up. You hear it? Okay. Anyway, I just want to talk about how monumentous this having a sub again is for me. And I wanted to share this short story with those who are making music, who have dealt with the challenges of making music in private, and also being in a situation where you don't disturb family members or neighbors, and the constant struggle between, is it loud enough to where I can rock to, and oh, let me turn it down just enough so I don't bother anybody while I'm trying to be creative. And a lot of times, the situation, the perfect situation, or the budget to rent someplace isn't always available, so you had to adapt. But let me take you back 11 years ago, back when I used to make music in my parents' basement in Michigan. And I'll start from there. In the beginning, I had a stereo shelf system. I actually had one of those old Iowa surround sound system, if you remember those from back in the late 90s. And I was able to finally convince my dad to get a sub for it. And when I finally got a sub for it, that's when I was finally able to understand, okay, this is what those low frequencies do. And that's where I was able to learn how to design bass and learn the basics of it, And of course, I used it like crazy, and then I eventually blew it. Of course, back then, being about 16, 17, I didn't have any knowledge of repairing cones and speakers. Not at that stage, There's a lot I know now that I didn't know then. But for that short period of time, I was able to experience making music and really catching a vibe from it. And it was wonderful, except for the fact that, okay, I'm living in my parents' crib, and I developed a bad habit of singing softly because I didn't want to wake anybody up in the house. Didn't want to wake up the parents late, stuff like that. And so even then, it was a constant struggle. Of course, if the folks are gone, yay, we can party and turn it up. But when they come back, their conscience makes you want to be considerate of other people. At the same time, you want to jam too. So it's always been that struggle. So I had my first sub like almost 11 years ago, maybe the second one 11 years ago. And the reason this matters so much to me, and I hope this clicks with somebody, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're gonna be like, what is he talking about? But this video is for those who can try to understand where I'm coming from with this. So, it was great. I was making music on Little Drummer Boy, Free Loose back then, and the sub blew. But then I moved out to go to Full Sail, right? Moved down to Florida, moved into a studio apartment, and at the time I had a stereo shelf system, that same Iowa system, but that kind of went by the wayside, and I needed monitors. And I'm living in a studio apartment. I got someone living above me, and I have an old Latin couple staying next door to me. You see where this is going. When I finally went and bought some M Audio BX8s, or those M8s, I was shaking up the whole apartment complex. And I was loving it. I was like, oh, it's not carrying. No, it carried. It carried. And, and the guy didn't have enough balls to come ask me to turn it down. I went straight to the apartment office, and I'm here getting the envelope saying, hey, we got noise complaints, stuff like that. And I also had a Mexican Latino couple next to. They would knock on the door and let me know. They weren't scared. But the guy above me, it was pretty tough. At the same time, you're in a situation, you want to create music. I feel like I'm in my own apartment, but there's still people sleeping around me. And I'm trying to make music. I'm trying to vibe. I got friends over. We're trying to go crazy with it, make some music. But at the same time, I got people on next door above me, and so I actually went and took those BX8s back and bought these set of TR6s, which is what I have now, which you've seen in most of my videos, because I felt like if I had a Corvette, I was going to drive it like a Corvette, and that's what I thought those monitors were at the time. So I bought smaller monitors and just kind of played that tug-of-war game. And eventually, after I moved out of that studio apartment and moved into a larger apartment, I still had neighbors across me that did music too, but didn't like it when you were doing music. Go figure that. So once again, that struggle. You want to be a good person. You want to be considerate, but you want to rock. You want to make some noise. You want to make some noise. But at the same time, there was always that struggle and stuff like that. And then, you know, fast forward, I moved out of there and starting over from scratch, going to Atlanta, where I lived in a living room. And I already knew that it wasn't going to work with loud music there, you know, with family. So I had to resort to headphones or resort to only working on music when they were away so that I wouldn't disturb them. But at the same time, it was hard. It was a vibe killer to have to tiptoe around your volume and your music, and also the lack of privacy. Even all these situations, living in these apartments, you had a lack of privacy. You didn't want to know if someone was living by you and listening to what you were trying to make, and that's no, I don't want your opinion. I'm making this music for me. I don't want your opinion about my music right now. I'm vibing right now. And a lot of people don't make music, don't understand that, because when you're a creator of music, sometimes you have to depend on your own opinion, because everyone else's opinion could be contrary to yours, but you could be the only one satisfied. And sometimes that's all you have to really, sometimes that's all you really need. But that's beside the point. So, you know, living with family, didn't have really any space. They were gracious enough to let me live there, but at the same time, it was a real struggle musically. And it was funny because around that time was when I got my first placement with Crazy Bone. And it was a struggle. And then I finally got into and then what happened is that they moved out and I moved into my first apartment in Atlanta. And the neighbor above me, she didn't care, didn't have a car, needed rides, so I guess it kind of traded off. But at the same time, I was still worried about, dang, am I disturbing this person? Am I disturbing that person? I got an idea I want to work on, and I want to turn it up. I want to see how it makes me feel when I turn it up, because that's what people do when they like music. They turn it up. And this is beside the whole frequency band thing. I haven't gotten into all that, but I'll bring that around at the end, because I already see that I'm already 7 minutes deep. Because it's a big story, but same thing. Even in the next apartment, you know, I got people around me. After I moved out of there, I had to move back in with family. I boxed up my monitors and put them away, because I already knew this ain't happening. I got to find some headphones with some bass and try to do my best with that, because I'm trying to be considerate and at the sacrifice of my enjoyment of music, and I put my consideration above my personal enjoyment, because sometimes that's a sacrifice you had to make. I'm gonna do another video, because I gotta put this down. If not for anybody else who doesn't enjoy this video, at least I can look at this and say that I made this vlog, and at least I can enjoy it. But this is to encourage some producers out there, or anybody in the creative field that's trying to make music, and I want them to hear what my story is, and hopefully they can relate and see how I'm at a different stage now than I have been for a very long time. So this is part one. It started 8 minutes. I'm going to part two, and I'm going to continue this.